Hi, Ellie Glazer here. Thanks for joining this week's video podcast. So our topic today is the trilogy of continuity: consistent, persistent, insistent. So yeah, they are synonyms, but I want to tease out a nuance that I feel is very important to define one of the formulas for long-term success. So let's go. So consistent. So what's the definition of consistence? Harmony, regularity, or steady continuity, free from variation or contradiction. That's what Webster's says. So you want to be consistent in your food plan. And you might say, wait a second, where's the fun in life? Where's the variables? Where's, living on the go for the moment? Well, think about it. The important things in your life, you certainly want them to be consistent. You don't want any interruptions or inconsistency in your heartbeat, right? You certainly want your heart to beat consistently. In your breathing, you don't want that to be inconsistent. So certainly in your nutrition, which is just a vital component in your body's need for life and for vitality, you want that to be just as consistent as well. So therefore, you must ensure that your food plan, that your daily consumption is just as consistent as your heartbeat and just as consistent as your breathing. And we see there's no, reason not to do that. The difference, though, is that once we're born, our heart just kind of beats on its own, and we certainly don't want to interfere that. And certainly our lungs work and our whole, breathing works on its own, and we certainly don't want to do anything to interfere that as well. But eating is not just a passive behavior, it's a proactive action. We have to choose and take the actions to nourish ourselves. So we have to create that consistency. And if we do that, then really we will fulfill the definition as Webster's provides us to have harmony, regularity, and steady continuity, free from variation or contradiction. Now you might think, well, consistency and variety, therefore, are in contrast, but they're really not. We can certainly have a wonderful variety and spontaneity within our food plan, within our consistency. Meaning, if my food plan calls for me to have a protein and a grain and a fruit for breakfast, that's what I need. That's my nourishment. Right? I don't want to compromise on that at all. But what am I in mood for today? Do I want yogurt? Do I want cheese? Do I want eggs? Do I want oatmeal? Do I want grits? Do I want cereal? Do I want an apple, a peach, an orange, a pear, banana? There's such a variety of choices to make and still maintain that harmony of consistency. So if we think about it, that's not a contradiction at all, but they can certainly work in concert. And then we want to establish persistency. So Webster's defines persistence as continuing to exist despite interference. You're driving down the road, it's a wonderful sunny day, you're going, nothing's, stopping you from getting to your destination. But sometimes it's raining. Sometimes there are headwinds. Sometimes there are detours. Sometimes there's road work. And therefore, what are we going to do? We're going to just pull to the side and, just not get to our destination? We're going to turn around and go home? No. We're going to continue on. We're going to be more deliberate. We're going to be more focused. But we're going to continue. We're going to be persistent despite the interference. Now, interference can be caused externally and internally. Right? People, situations that come up in life that can trigger us to want to eat, to want to binge, to want to veer away from our food plan. But we must be persistent in our consistency. And internally, we can feel deprived, we can feel restricted, we can feel bitter about not eating the way other people might eat. But if we're just honest with ourselves and realize that the consistency of my health is what's most important to me, then I'll be persistent in maintaining that consistency. And third, I want to be insistent. Definition of that is to be emphatic, firm, or resolute. To realize that our self-care through proper nutrition is not a luxury in life, it's a necessity. And to insist that in whichever environment that I find myself in, that I will have access to those choices that meet my needs. Now, certainly we do that with our family. Let's say we have a child who has a food allergy. We're not going to go to an event We're not going to send them to a party without ascertaining and making sure that there are no nuts there. And certainly we see that the insistency in our environment, in schools, it's a nut-free zone. That's a normal thing. There's nothing wrong with that. People aren't imposing their will on others. They're making boundaries. It'd be nice to bring a peanut butter and jelly sandwich to school, for some kids, but they just don't do that, and they deal with it because people are insistent on their needs because they understand the consequences if they're not met, or if a food is provided for them or they choose to eat something that will have an adverse reaction. So certainly our health, our spiritual well-being, our physical and our emotional well-being is just as important in the long run. Certainly our body, certainly being in a healthy body size, we must be insistent wherever we are. Again, we don't want to be a nudge, we don't want to be obnoxious about it, but there's nothing wrong with insisting on creating an food environment that meets our needs and asking. And people, as we know, if we're hosts and we have people who come with certain food priorities, we're happy to accommodate them. And if we're sitting there, they're not eating anything at all, we feel bad and we're upset that they didn't inform us beforehand so we could arrange for choices that they would be able to make. Right? We want them to be insistent for us as a host. So therefore, we want to react the same as a guest. We want to be insistent to make sure that our needs are met, and insistent in ourselves as well, to be emphatic, to be firm, to be resolute, that our self-care is the most important agenda and our daily priority list. Because at the end of the day, no one else is going to take care of it but ourselves. So if we really focus on consistency, persistency, and insistency, that will be the trilogy of continuity that will also provide each and every one of us with our long-term success, one day at a time. Thanks for watching and have a great week.